Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's up guys, unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and in this video we have a new tease and a new update into the regards of some of the details for the upcoming Disney Plus Star Wars The Acolyte. Of course, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna hop right on into it, break it all down for you guys, everything that we know and everything that we're anticipating right now. Before we do though, however, grab the subscribe button if you haven't already, as we're discussing and covering all types of Star Wars related news, leaks, rumors, theories, and breakdowns here on the channel. So, if you guys are into any of that, go ahead and then grab that subscribe button today. Okay, so in this video, we are going to be taking a quick read from one of my favorites out there, StarWarsNewsStat.com. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there, as well as an overall garnering source. Recently, the Acolyte's main series star, Amanda Steinberg, has recently taken the Call the Acolyte series, the prequel to the prequels, and also having a new image revealed from Total Film as an exclusive we'll take a look at in just a moment. I think it's kind of a bit of a no-brainer. Yes, the Acolyte is a prequel to the prequels, as this is going to be set 100 years before the events of the Skywalker saga, before the events of the Phantom Menace. Something, if you guys haven't been necessarily following all that too closely with the Acolyte, all the different details and teases that we've been getting for this upcoming Disney Plus show, is that it's really supposed to detail and tell the story of kind of how the Jedi were in the situation that they were in during the events of the time period of the prequels in the Skywalker saga from the early 2000s, essentially, especially. Now, Amanda Steinberg recently spoke to TotalFilm.com about the Acolyte in an exclusive for their upcoming magazine issue. Despite the series being set over 100 years before the events of the Phantom Menace, the cast and creators feel it links with the prequels totally and thematically as well. This makes sense, considering one of the first things that we were told about the series was that it would show us how the Jedi became so strict and kind of that order that we see in Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And I've also often preached this here on the channel, in and out of our videos here, about the Acolyte, of just from the get-go, from the first look in the trailer, I just was like, OMG, this looks so much like the prequels, this feels so much like the prequels. The different fight scenes and bits of snippets that we got from the trailer, let alone, felt so much like the early 2000 prequels, and I am so here for it. I absolutely love it. So recently, Amanda Steinberg went into a little bit more detail onto this point, into their interview with TotalFilm.com, which has been shared on their sister site GamesRadar.com there as well. She says that there, in quote, "We are the prequel to the prequels, and the prequels have this kind of prestige to them, this monarchical kind of vibe. So one of my main questions going in was, are we going to maintain that sensibility? And yes, in many ways we do that, while also incorporating elements that feel really contemporary and relatable all at the same time." When I watched the finished episodes, I was really struck on how universal the overall story really was. Ending that quote right there. First things first, from the get-go, of how telling and saying that the story of the Acolyte Season 1 is so universal, I think kind of goes on to prove that point of that this show is dealing with a lot of characters, a lot of Jedi characters especially, and saying that this story is very, well, universal, I think more so really proves that point of how this story of the Acolyte is really going to tell that story through multiple points of views, essentially. Also onto telling of how there's this very monarchy going on that we see into the prequels. Everybody has a place, everybody has a kind of place of where they're supposed to be, of belonging, essentially. There's the Jedi Order. That's a whole monarchy right there in itself, I think, and we can really go and get into all of that, from Padawans, Jedi Knights, Jedi Masters, and everything that we see with the Jedi Order and the Council and everything there. The Clone Troopers and Bounty Hunters, essentially breaking it all down, and it goes outside of the prequels, also within the prequel era itself, in the Clone Wars animated show, and in some of those video games as well that are set maybe during the prequels. You still get that very much so monarchical kind of vibe, as she describes it, that kind of prestige kind of vibe that the Jedi themselves really do bring during this time period, also the more, and so that the Acolytes show itself is going to maintain and yet again bring that to the screen once again. asking and posing that question as if we're going to maintain that sensibility, essentially, that we once saw, knew, and loved from the prequel trilogies, and incorporating that, I think, for one thing, into the Acolyte, but for another, does it maintain throughout the Acolyte? And the kind of simple, short answer to that is, well, a solid yes. I think at the same time, I like to challenge that, and yes, of course, only time will tell until we actually see the Acolyte show itself really come to fruition and really begin streaming its episodes onto Disney Plus June 2nd with its 2-episode premiere coming out on Disney Plus a little bit later this year, of course. As of 2, I think that there's going to be this underlying kind of tone or theme, if you will, essentially, of as of 2, that sensibility isn't necessarily being maintained. That kind of prestigeness and that kind of monarchy kind of vibe isn't going to be entirely maintained. It's going to be very similar to the prequels. I think that there, if for anything. She also goes on to mention as of to how they incorporating those elements that feel contemporary and relatable all at the same time. Essentially, copy and pasting what the prequels kind of once were. Essentially, I think what she's getting at is, well, if you like the prequels, which I think we speak for a lot of people out there, yeah, then you're gonna love what the Acolyte may have to offer. And lastly, in this interview, or in this short bit of a snippet that she also goes on to mention, I don't want it to go under the radar completely, I think it's still very much so important to throw out there, is that she confirms that she has watched the finished episodes of the Acolyte itself, meaning that just about all of those episodes are complete, or at least getting there somewhat, until we see the final product on June 4th with its 2-episode premiere, of course. Also, alongside this exclusive interview with TotalFilm.com, Total Film also went on to share an exclusive image of Charlie Barnett's character Yorn Fondar, and also Lee Jung-jae's Master Soul, wearing their customary Jedi robes in the series, which you can see, of course, here. They definitely look like High Republic era robes, as you would anticipate and expect, but with the brown cloaks that we recognize and love of the Jedi from the prequels, really symbolizing and showing as of to how the Acolyte is going to give us that great transition, if you will, from how we see the Jedi and those characters once from the High Republic era and how they transition over into the prequels. All in all, it really seems that the Jedi in the Acolyte will be just as stoic, as if maybe not just that, but more as they were in the prequels, though perhaps Amanda Steinberg's comments and bits of teases about the show feel contemporary and relatable, mean that some of them will display a little bit more of the personality possessed by the Jedi in the High Republic era, specifically essentially seen in maybe the High Republic novels itself. A little less Mace Windu, a little bit more Elzar Mann, perhaps. Of course, Amanda Steinberg is likely to referring to the overall tone and themes of the show itself, rather than just the Jedi characters or one specific area of the show itself as well, so keep that in mind. We'll be able to see exactly what she means on June 4th when the Acolyte comes out on Disney Plus with its first 2 episodes. So this here all being said, guys, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys are all thinking. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been an official Star Wars. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.